Welcome back to episode 6 of The Human Condition. Okay, let's unpack this. For this deep dive, we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
Instead of, a stack of articles or studies, we're focusing on just one single, really powerful personal story. It came from one of our listeners.
Ah, okay. That sounds interesting. What's the source?
It's an excerpt from a piece called Stealing the Car to Save a Life. And, well, on the surface, it seems like a pretty straightforward story about, like, a family argument.
Right.
But when you start digging in, it reveals so much about how we judge people, about perception, and all those hidden complexities behind why people do what they do.
The hidden motivations. So what's our mission with this one?
Our mission, I guess, is to really explore this one event, this anecdote, and see what it tells us about judgment, how we see things, and maybe those unseen reasons driving people.
Gotcha. Where does it start?
It starts right with that feeling, that immediate relatable problem. You find out your car's been stolen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But here's the twist. Not by a stranger. By the narrator's own brother. And that feeling of betrayal, it just explodes. Anger, confusion, all before the real story even starts to come out. Let's dive in.
Okay. So the story kicks off with the narrator, who's 17 at the time.
Right.
And they're describing their most prized possession, which is an old, beat-up silver Honda Civic.
Yep. Probably not much to look at, right? Maybe some rust. Radio probably needed a good whack to work.
Exactly. But it was everything to them.
And the reason it meant so much, they'd earned it all themselves. Saved up for 2 years.
2 years, wow.
Yeah, working weekends at a grocery store, and this detail really stuck with me. Scraping gum off the bottom of movie theater seats.
Ugh. Okay, that's dedication. So that car wasn't just a car.
No, definitely not. It was like proof of their hard work, their independence. It was theirs.
So you can imagine waking up one morning, going outside, and the car's just gone.
Yeah. The source describes that total gut punch feeling, panic, running outside, barefoot even,
Yeah.
checking with parents who don't know anything, then finding the brother's room.
Empty.
No note, nothing, no text, no call, just silence for 2 whole days.
2 days of nothing. That's agonizing.
Absolutely. And for those 2 days, the narrator's just consumed by it. They describe feeling, obviously furious, but also scared. And embarrassed, too.
Embarrassed. Why?
Had to lie to friends, making excuses like, oh, the car's, it's in the shop.
Right. Keep up appearances.
Exactly. And when you have no information, your mind just races, doesn't it? You start imagining the worst.
Oh, yeah. It's crashed somewhere. He's been arrested.
Or maybe even worse, emotionally speaking. Maybe he just didn't care. Didn't care about the car, didn't care about the impact on them.
He basically becomes the villain in the story you're telling yourself in your head.
Totally. And that story, that narrative, it gets pretty solid over those 2 days of silence. The feeling of betrayal, trust being completely broken, something you worked so hard for, just taken, selfishly, carelessly.
Okay, so the anger is building. The story is set in the narrator's mind. Then what?
Then, just as suddenly as he vanished, the brother comes back.
Okay.
Middle of the afternoon. Parks the car right back in its spot. Walks into the house, totally calm, like nothing happened.
Nothing. Just walks in.
Yep. Goes straight to the kitchen for a glass of water.
Wow. That casualness after 2 days of worry and anger from the narrator, I can see how that would just ignite things.
Exactly. It's the trigger. The narrator just explodes, demanding answers. Where were you? What did you do?
And the brother?
His only response at first is really quiet. Just, I had to do something.
We had to do something. That's it.
That's it. And that vague line, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire.
Oh, I bet.
The narrator just lets loose, shout, you had no right. It wasn't your car. I worked so hard for it. You broke my trust. Calls him selfish, irresponsible, a screw-up.
Oof. Harsh words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the source mentions there's still regret about those specific words, even now, said in the heat of that moment,
Understandable. But what's really striking is the brother's reaction to all this fury.
What does he do?
According to the source, he's just still doesn't yell back, doesn't cry, doesn't argue or defend himself.
Really?
He just listens, nods calmly, and says, yeah, you're right.
You're right. And then?
Then he just goes to his room. That's the end of the conversation.
Wow. Okay, in that moment, hearing you're right after unleashing all that anger.
Yeah.
It must have felt like total confirmation.
Exactly. Like, see, I knew it. He admits it. He is selfish. He is irresponsible. It validates the entire negative narrative the narrator had built up.
Seals the deal on him being the villain.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But here's where the whole story pivots, takes that crucial turn.
Okay.
Because the truth, it didn't come out then. The brother didn't offer any explanation later.
So how did the narrator find out?
Weeks later,
Oh.
totally separate from the brother, someone else told them what had actually happened.
Okay, I'm hooked. What was the real story?
The real story is, well, it's pretty incredible. The brother had taken the beat-up Honda. He'd driven it 6 hours.
6 hours.
Yep, 2 states away, through the night.
Why? What was so urgent?
He wasn't doing it for himself. It wasn't selfish at all. He was going to see a friend.
Okay.
A friend who had just attempted suicide.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a friend he hadn't even seen in years. They weren't even that close anymore, apparently. But this friend had sent some kind of message. Something that sounded like a final goodbye.
So he just went.
He just went.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was pure instinct. Like, get the message, see the crisis, and just leave. No time to ask permission for the car, no time to explain. Just gotta go now.
Wow. And the 3 days he was gone.
He apparently showed up, totally uninvited, banged on the friend's door until they opened it, and then just stayed? Constantly.
Like what?
Buying groceries, sitting with the friend in the ER, sleeping on the floor next to the hospital bed. Gave the friend every single dollar he had on him.
Just total focused care. An intervention, really.
Exactly. A silent, intense act of just showing up and being there. Profound care.
So wait. When the narrator eventually found all this out, did they ask the brother why he didn't just say something back then? Why he let them believe the worst?
They did ask him later, yeah, after they knew the truth.
And his answer?
Simple. But it says so much. He just said, I didn't do it for credit.
I didn't do it for credit.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where this story gets really, really interesting for us to unpack, isn't it?
Absolutely. It just perfectly highlights that huge gap between appearance and reality.
Right. The immediate appearance, my brother stole my car, a selfish act, a violation.
Versus the reality, my brother drove that car through the night to save someone's life. A selfless act. Maybe even a necessary one.
It really forces you to confront how fast we build these narratives around something when we only see the surface level.
We fill in all the blanks with our own assumptions, our fears, maybe past experiences with that person.
And we end up casting them as the villain in our own very incomplete story.
Yeah. And what about the brother's silence during that big confrontation? That simple, yeah, you're right. What do we make of that now?
Well, the source suggests, and it makes sense, right, that his silence wasn't necessarily him agreeing he was a screw-up the way the narrator took it.
Okay. So what else could it mean?
Silence can mean so many things, can't it? Maybe he was just physically and emotionally exhausted from the drive, from dealing with his friend's crisis.
Right, drained.
Or maybe he felt his sibling in that moment of fury just wouldn't understand the depth of what he'd just been through. Like, why bother trying to explain right now?
Or maybe he just didn't have the words. How do you even start to explain something like that when someone's screaming at you?
Exactly. It's a huge shifting perspective on what silence can mean. We often jump to thinking it means guilt or defiance.
Yeah, or agreement with our negative judgment.
But it could just be the sheer weight of what that person is carrying internally.
So if we kind of zoom out a bit, this story really shows that idea powerfully, doesn't it? That people carry things you just can't see.
Definitely. Unseen burdens, unseen struggles, sometimes unseen acts of love or maybe duty.
And sometimes things that look really reckless from the outside, or like a betrayal, or even just like someone being distant or cold. Those can actually be, I don't know, profound acts of care or courage.
Yeah, just maybe poorly communicated or completely misunderstood because we don't have the full picture at that moment.
Which I guess raises a really important question for all of us listening. How often do we miss that deeper context in other people's actions?
Good question.
How many times have we maybe misjudged someone because we didn't see everything? Because they were silent about what was really going on?
Or because their quiet, maybe desperate act of care just looked like something completely different to us on the surface.
Yeah. Thinking about this story, it definitely makes you reflect, doesn't it? Have you, listening right now, ever felt really misunderstood for something you did? Maybe something difficult that you just couldn't explain well at the time?
Or flip it around. Have you ever been absolutely convinced someone was being selfish or thoughtless, only to find out way later that there was a completely different reason, maybe even a noble reason behind it?
How does hearing this story maybe change how you might look at those unexpected or unexplained actions from people in your own life going forward?
It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? Almost. Yeah, almost unsettling to just pause, To resist that immediate rush to judgment?
And stay open. Open to the possibility that there's almost always more going on beneath the surface than what we initially see.
Yeah, this deep dive, just focusing on this one listener's really personal story, it just powerfully underlines that idea, the power of hidden motivations and the very real danger of judging too quickly.
Especially when we only have half the story, or less.
Right, that contrast is just so stark, isn't it? The stolen car versus the saved life.
And in the end, as the narrator learned, the saved life was obviously what mattered infinitely more.
So what's the takeaway here? What does this all mean for you listening?
Well, I think it means patience, maybe, and empathy.
Yeah.
They aren't just nice ideas. They're like essential tools for actually understanding other people.
It means being slower to jump to negative conclusions about someone's intent. Trying to hold space for the idea that there's context you just don't have yet.
It means being open to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, that action that looks selfish or frustrating or just plain weird,
Yeah.
maybe it was actually an act of quiet courage. Or maybe profound, selfless love, just disguised.
And building on that core idea from the source that people carry things you can't see and acts of love can get tangled up in the messiness of life.
Yeah.
Just consider this. How much unseen courage or sacrifice or maybe quiet care is happening all around you every single day, hidden behind someone's silence or their exhaustion, or just actions you currently misunderstand.
What acts of quiet heroism might you be missing right now?